Live.
Here we go. Hello and welcome back to another edition of West Ham Fan TV's Friday Night Pint. Thank you very much for joining us. It's been a great week. I hope you've had a good week as well. Antonio and Dawson to Wolves. En-Nesyri and Moffi reject West Ham. And West Ham back in for Danjuma. That's what we'll be talking about tonight. Get your comments in. It's Friday night. You're watching us live here. So interact with us. How you doing, boys? All right?
Good, mate. Good. We was just sorting out some technical difficulties. That's why we're a bit late, getting used to a new system. So we get some nice graphics going on, you know.
Yeah, we're using a new system. So if there's any teething problems, please let us know, and we'll try and sort them out as soon as we can. How you doing, mate? Roy?
Yeah, I'm all right, mate. Can you hear me now?
I can, just about. Yeah, my cat's climbed into a bag. I don't know what's going on now. Yeah, I can hear you now, mate. It's just about. I don't know. Something's going on with my headphones, maybe. But there we go. Right.
There we go.
Oh, now I can see your comments, guys. Evening, everyone. I hope you've got a pint in hand. We'll be looking at all of that stuff that I just spoke about, and I look forward to Wolves as well. So let's go. First subject, Roy. What is it?
Well, the news about Dawson and Antonio maybe on their way to Wolves. I reckon one of them definitely will be, and that'll be Craig Dawson. I think we might have seen him play his last game in a West Ham shirt, because I don't think he's going to be in the squad for tomorrow, going by what ex-employee reported earlier. So I'm so glad we got Kurt Zouma back. But look, listen, I totally understand Craig Dawson's reasons. He wanted to go in the summer. It's for family reasons. And you can never stop a player wanting to move if it is for family reasons, you know. So he will be missed. He's been a great servant for West Ham. One player that, when he first joined the club, you know, no one was excited about the signing, and he turned out to be probably our player of the season last year. But Declan Rice got it, but Dawson was very close to getting it, so will be missed. Antonio, on the other hand, that's a different story.
Well, I mean, with the Dawson thing, I read that same. I read that same article, and I'm a bit angry about that, to be quite honest with you. At the end of the day, right, I know that we stopped him from going in the summer because of our defensive injury woes. Now, Aguirre's just coming back. There is no guarantee that Aguirre's going to be injury-free. He's had a couple of injuries already while he's here. We've got Ogbonna and Zouma as the bigger picture here. Like, at the end of the day, we was going to let him go to Wolves in the summer. We stopped him from doing that because of our injury record. Look, he's only just come back, Aguirre. He could quite easily go down again and miss the rest of the season once we've let him go, which is you know, the only good part about that is that there's a transfer window that we could possibly sign someone else. But will they? I don't know. As for where we are at the moment in the league, why would we ever go to a game against the relegation? And this, don't get me wrong, this is the biggest game of our season tomorrow. I think this is make or break, because if we lose tomorrow, halfway point between, you know, the season ending, if you multiply that by 2, we haven't got enough points. We haven't done well enough in the beginning of the season to even stay in the league, let alone, fight for Europe, like you said we was a couple of weeks ago. So why would you go to a relegation rival? Because that's what they are at the moment, a relegation rival, yeah, who we're going to be strengthening by selling him 2 of our players, and not play a player when you've only just got Zouma coming back. Zouma could go there tomorrow and break down in the first 10 minutes if he plays. The same as Aguirre, because he's just coming back for injury. I think it's absolutely mental to do this. He should be in the squad. He's not joined Wolves yet. Whether he's going or not, he hasn't joined Wolves. We're not trying to sell him, which, you know, he wants to go for family reasons, which is 100%. 100% he's got my backing. 110%. Craig Dawson, I'll have fond memories of Craig Dawson. He'll be up there with me with Ginger Collins as one of my favourite defenders in the modern era, because, you know, from the days when he came and I turned around and said he's probably one of the worst players I've ever seen, he's been an absolute marvel to watch. But we need him. We need him tomorrow.
He has been. It's got to be said. He hasn't been as good this season. I mean, he's had some injury problems, so he hasn't got to really get in a rhythm. But you know, He's been nowhere near as good as he was last season. So I think. Yeah, I think I have no problem with him leaving, but like you said, leaving to a relegation rival. And we've done this before. We sold Ayew, who was our top goal scorer at the time, to Swansea, who was our relegation rival. And now it was 20 million, which was hard to turn out. And thankfully, it didn't bite us in the arse. I mean, I haven't heard anything about transfer fee for either of the players yet. But surely it's got to be something that's, at least makes it worth our while. Yeah, we want to do right by Dawson, but surely, if he could wait 6 months out, another, not even 6 months, 4 or 5 months.
No, Dan, I think it was something that he stayed with us for an extra 6 months. He wanted to go during the summer. That's a fact. It's cited family reasons. It looked like we was going to let him go. We had the injury problems, right? Now, I've got no... if they're going to go out and buy a replacement, fair play, yeah? But at this particular moment in time, tomorrow, we kick off our game in less than 24 hours. We cannot be leaving our first choice centre-back out against, a team that we're, relegation rivals with, and two, a team that he's going to. Like, it doesn't matter. I know what they're saying, like, you don't want him to get injured, blah, 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 and all this sort of thing. But that's to be fair, and I mean this with the greatest respect to Craig Dawson, that's not our problem. We need him. We need them bodies on the ground at the minute. And if we haven't got a centre-back pairing, we cannot afford to leave him out. I think it is mental to be talking about leaving him out of the game tomorrow. Like, I know he hasn't been as good, but it's what we've got, to be fair.
No, I totally agree, mate. At the end of the day, he's still a West Ham player. And until he's gone, he should be involved. He's a professional football player. I don't think that he'd want to not play tomorrow. For me, look, as Dan said, there's only a few months left of the season, and you can't really sell to a relegation rival. I'd even be comfortable. Look, he keeps himself fit. Even if they said to him, because he lives in the Midlands, he wants to go back to the Midlands, doesn't he? Say to him, stay at home 3 days a week, and then keep yourself fit, and then come down. It's been done before. Paul Merson done it when he played for Portsmouth. It happens. So
I wonder if a deal has been agreed in principle, and part of that deal was that he wouldn't play against Wolves, and that maybe they've given us a decent bit of money.
That's illegal.
Agreement.
We've had this argument before. It's illegal to do that. It should.
But if it's not in writing, you know what I mean?
Like, we did do it with Snodgrass. Yeah, we did.
Yeah, exactly. So it said there's previous for it, so that wouldn't surprise me, to be honest.
I would let him go tomorrow, Dawson. Right, but I said this on Twitter with the Antonio thing as well. I think not playing him tomorrow is crazy when there's no deal initially. I know that Moyes has come out and said that neither of them are for sale, but what Moyes says and what Moyes does is two completely different things. But what I would do, and I know, look, I might get slated and all that, but it's going to start a debate. I would quite happily give them Dawson and Antonio if they give us Cody and Adama Traore in return. And
Cody?
Conor Cody, yeah. Conor Cody's still a Wolves player. He's just at loan at Everton.
Yeah, but they could. Well, unless they can recall his loan early, they'd have to be able to say, right, and recall him. I don't know what deal they've got with Everton. If they have, that would be interesting.
They can sell him.
I mean, that would be huge, because let's look at that. Because not only would we be getting a decent defender, we'd be weakening a relegation rival in Everton.
So, well, that's what I'm saying. Like, obviously they've got deals in place, but at the moment he's still Wolves player, as far as I know. He's not signed for Everton. He's Wolves still hold his registration, so they could probably sell him.
Well, yeah, but wasn't we linked with Conor Cody, and he made it clear he didn't want to move to London?
Oh,
that's Everton for family reasons.
Yes.
Oh yeah, you don't want to. I suppose you don't want another situation like that. But I'll definitely be going for in terms of the Antonio transfer, Adama Traore. I know people are going to be mental and all that, but you have to look at it, the bigger picture. Like, people are saying, oh yeah, but it's just Antonio. It's just another Antonio. He's got no, he's got no same player. He's got no finishing product, and he's got, he's just Antonio but for me, he's Antonio 2.0 because he's 26. He's a lot quicker than anyone, probably anyone in the league. And I think that's what we lack a lot of, his pace. And I think, like, what Antonio used to lack in quality, he used to make up in pace. He's not quite there now, Antonio. And I think we could do something with Adama Traore, whether he be playing up front or playing on the wing.
I think that's a sort of Moyes player all over, wouldn't it? I think if Moyes is going to be staying, I think that would be an ideal signing for him, especially with Cornet being out. We need, and we're going to talk about Danjuma later on in the show, but you talk about having a player with pace and that, like you said, that could be perfect for us.
I would give him Antonio money for him tomorrow.
Yeah, the Antonio one surprised me a bit because he's one of these players that I thought would probably see out his career at West Ham. And, I'm hearing that he wants out. And is that maybe because now he's got a bit of competition? Because last season he didn't have it. Now he's got a bit of competition. He finds himself on the bench. If he's turned out to be that sort of player that don't want to fight for his place in the first team, then, yeah, get rid of him. I mean, they're talking about 10 million quid for him. I'd take that all day long for Antonio.
Yeah, I mean, there was reports, weren't there, that he was unhappy, and I remember last season he was asking for competition. He was like demanding. He was like, I would love to have someone pushing me, and now he's got it. He's gone backwards on the pitch, and I don't know whether he's frustrated as much with himself as the club, but he's not living up to his potential of what he's previously done. But he's also not getting the minutes. He was the main man last season. Started off really well, so I don't know. I really don't know what's his problem. Why he's unhappy? He should be expecting to be on the bench with his performance.
Yeah, he's obviously frustrated because he hasn't scored as many goals as he wanted to this season. His performances ain't been as great as we know he can be. But for me, selling someone like Antonio to a relegation rival would be a big risk because we know what Antonio can do on his day. He showed it for us many a times over the years that when he gets a run of form, he's unplayable. And if it turns out that he goes to Wolves and hits the ground running and gets 10 goals that could keep them up, it could send us down. So it is a big gamble. I mean, I was very surprised with Antonio that he wants to leave the football club.
I mean, that is, if it's true, you have to take everything you read with a pinch of salt. But I'm one of them people that believe there's no smoke without fire, and obviously these things have been regurgitated around the West Ham world this week. As I said before, for Traore, I would sell him. Like if they wanted to give us Traore, but they're probably going to be in a situation where they turn around and go, well, we don't want to strengthen you because you're a relegation rival. And I think Antonio, I'm disappointed with him, but I do understand it in the fact that he's 33. He's not got a lot of football left to play. He's been here for a long time. And I think a lot of his problems is I don't think we play to his strengths anymore. I don't think like his strengths that he had when he was 27, 26 are not the same strengths as he's got now. I don't know what his strengths are.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. What are his strengths now?
No, I don't know. I don't know. But what I do know and what is quite evident is getting that ball out to the box and aimlessly trying to cross it after all the defenders get in their positions. He's obviously not to his strengths. He's not to his
won't start for Wolves. So if he's going there because he thinks he's going to be the main man again and start and all of that,
of course he will. Of course he will.
Who's he
going to start in front of?
They've got Jimenez. They've been playing up front. Who's been scoring? They're doing well now. They've got players.
They used to play a 2 up front.
Well, they was playing. I think they've been playing a 1, and then they played a 3, like a sort of 3 forwards the other day, with that one Hee-Chan and Jimenez, I think it was. So I think there's players that are better than him currently in the attack. So I can't see him. There's no guarantee. If he can get his form back, maybe, but he's been awful this season.
The thing is, I mean, if we're going to get a bit of money for him, if they're talking about 10 million, I mean, I was just watching Sky Sports News before I come in here, and I see that Trossard wants out at Brighton. He's a winger. West Ham chucks some money at him. Brighton want him gone. He's fell out with the manager. He could be another option. But whether we're going to spend the money, it's another thing. I mean, if Antonio goes, we definitely need another striker as well. So it's such a big risk.
I partly feel
I
like we
wouldn't let
might.
him go now. I'd wait until deadline day at least, because selling him in the next week or two is going to be a massive gamble.
I would get another striker even if he's staying, because we've only got one right winger in Bowen at the moment, one natural right winger. Antonio is a natural right winger, so and who's not scoring goals as a striker. So if we got another striker with Skamaka, who's had a few injury problems, we've got more FA Cup games coming up, or another FA Cup game at least, European games coming up. So we definitely need someone to push Skamaka and fill him when he gets injured, and then maybe have Antonio and Bowen to push each other, and Antonio can sometimes play up top. So even if he stays, I think we should try and get a striker, even if it's on loan.
Yeah, no, definitely, mate. 100% agree. We
Yeah.
definitely need a new striker.
The goals have been just so dry this season. It really has, and it was interesting because I saw a lot of the sort of positive fans, or the fans that were arguing, we've really been unlucky and we've been really good this season. It's just because we haven't taken our chances. And I was just doing a bit of research the other day, and I saw that we're like 16th for big chances miss, or big chances missed. So it tells you that, are we really, having this many missing this many big chances? Most of our
There's a
shots
lot of
are
stats.
hitting hopes out the box.
There's a lot of stats that it proves like the stats don't lie in a way. Like 20th for pressing, 20th for shutting people down in the Premier League. It's not good enough. We've got to where we are with hard work. We're not as blessed as someone like Liverpool, who have got an array of talent, Man City, and all of this sort of thing. They have to work hard, and that's quite evident this year, that there's a lack of something. We've got to go towards some more positive. Look, we've had two positive results in the last couple of weeks. That 2-2 draw at Leeds, I thought we was quite well. I think we was lucky to come away with a draw in the end, but. There was times in that game where it looked like we was on top. We got to start capitalising. Whether that's a shake up of the squad or whatever, with Antonio going and someone else coming in. But I won't be letting anyone go until anyone's coming in. And as I said before, certainly Dawson. If he's got to play tomorrow, he's got to play. That's simple as that. I wouldn't be leaving him out just because of this transfer. That's, with all due respect, and I know that Dawson's given us a lot. That's Dawson's problem. If he gets injured on the last game for West Ham and he can't go to Wolves, that's his problem.
Yeah, thing is as well, mate. You're talking about stats. One stat that worries me is that we only scored 6 goals away from home this season in the league, and they've all been scored by different players.
Yeah.
So that's a worrying stat, and we need to start picking up results on the road. As you said, look, a point away at Leeds was a good point in the end, because it couldn't have gone either way, But we need to pick up wins, and we need to start doing it soon. And we have to get it tomorrow, because if we win tomorrow, that puts us 4 points clear of Wolves. And then it's about getting on a little run, because if we win tomorrow, that's no defeats in our last 3 games. And that's 2 wins away from home, at Brentford in the Cup and Wolves if we beat them, and Leeds away as well. So that's 3, undefeated on the road. So it's going to be difficult tomorrow, don't get me wrong. But yeah,
Look, we're going to be looking at that game a little bit more in depth later. We've got a super chat 80.99 from Steve WHU Bell. I think we'll struggle to attract decent players in that position. We are in them with managers' positions in doubt. Absolutely, and that's going to be our next subject. We're going to be talking about players that have been rejecting us, and we can't attract the players that. And I always knew this was going to happen, to be honest with you. In the position we're in and with the football we're playing, we can't seem to attract the players that want to come here. Let me take some comments quickly just before we move on to the next subject from the guys. Dan, do you want to take them?
Yeah, sure. There's a comment here from Gary, mate. That's a good question here. Says, boys, the question is, do we have any money after the summer? We have no one to sell of any value other than Rice to generate funds, which it seems to be why they're looking at a lot of loan signings. Everything I've been hearing about has been loan signings this month. So yeah, I would say that you're probably right, mate. To be honest.
Yeah, I think someone's just made a good comment there about Okaflex coming back. You know, he looks like he's going to be involved in the first team, and maybe the money's not there. We spent a lot of money in the summer, so I think if anything is going to be done this window, it is going to be loan signings or free transfers. But I don't know who's on a free transfer at the moment, but it will be a couple of loan signings.
Matt's just pointed out that apparently we've had rejection for Scott McTominay, which is interesting. He's a weird one. He is like 'cause sometimes he looks brilliant for them, and a lot of other times he looks terrible.
The fact of the matter is, when it comes down to the nitty gritty, we've got to start looking for a replacement for Rice sooner rather than later. Because I think looking for it now is a smart choice. Because once we got that money in our pockets, people are going to be, charging us through the roof. But
I think it depends who we're going to deal with. If you're looking at dealing with a Man City, they're going to be looking at Calvin Phillips, who obviously we've been linked with before. Look, Rice is irreplaceable for me. I mean, you're not going to find another Declan Rice, but that's not saying that you're not going to find someone that can come in and do a job and maybe not be better than Rice.
A different job, a
different job, and maybe take to the team straight away. But one thing I'm certain, I don't think Declan Rice is going to be leaving in this transfer window. So I think we'll worry about that in the summer. I think Declan Rice is here for the fight. He wants to keep us up. Look, we're through. We're in the last 16 of Europe. We've got that to look forward to. We're in to the 5th round of the FA Cup away at Derby, which is a winnable game. We get through that. We're in the last 16 of the FA Cup. If we can just get our league form right, we can start having maybe a little bit of a, even though it's been a shit start to the season, it could turn into a sort of more positive season. But we've got to start picking up them results in the league for that to happen.
I think it all starts tomorrow, mate. It all starts tomorrow. We pick up some points tomorrow. It keeps the momentum going.
I'll be honest with you. Point here, by the way, I just want to, Steve. Even if we had money for players, would they trust him with more money?
I don't think so. No, I don't. There is no. It's quite plainly obvious there is no money. It's plainly obvious.
If there was, would they trust him enough to say, "All right, Moyes, here's 20 million to spend on that"?
Let's be honest with you. Sullivan wouldn't even trust his kids with the money.
But it seems like they're backing him because they haven't sacked him yet.
No. They
trusted him with 170 million in the summer, and now they've seen how it's panned out. Maybe they'll think twice about. Because even though they're like you said, Ryan, they're backing him at the moment, but I imagine that they have their doubts, and they've probably had discussions on whether they should let him go or not.
Just quickly. There's a lot of talk about Potter. Potter's obviously failing miserably at Chelsea, and there's a lot of fans just going mad on Potter. Potter for you or no? Just really quick.
Yeah, I would. It's a risk, but I think he'd be good. He's gone into a real mess at Chelsea, so yeah, I think if
he's going to be brought into a real mess at West Ham.
I don't think our club is as a mess like Chelsea.
I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't. I would have took a Potter from Brighton. I wouldn't take a Potter who's just been. Well, he ain't been sacked yet, but someone who's probably going to get the sack in the next couple of games from Chelsea because he's going to be low, isn't he? So if he comes in and he don't hit the ground running at West Ham, the fans are just going to get straight on his back again.
He could have something to prove, though. But I think a lot of managers would have gone in and had the same issue at Chelsea. When you look at just how all over the place that squad is, they need a massive clear out and rebuild. So it's a risky. It could be a risky one, but tempting.
I think at the moment, we need fucking Harry Potter, let alone fucking.
Need a bit of magic, mate, because the players. Listen, this is going to be a tough job for whoever takes it. Let's go to the next subject. Our transfers. We've had a couple of rejections. It looks like Moffi, who was, I believe, was Noble's first sort of like dealings with Moffi. He sort of turned us down, and En-Nesyri of Seville has turned us down as well. There's not a lot to discuss on this one.
Moffi's reasons for turning us down, I think, were fair enough. He wants to stay in France, family there. He's not really interested in leaving France, so That's fair enough. Like, you can't really argue with that. Nasri is an interesting one because Moyes has been chasing this guy for like 3 years now. Every transfer window linked with this guy, linked with this guy. He rejects us. He rejects us. Moyes, just like Lingard, he will not leave well enough alone. And now again, I think we had maybe a better chance of getting him, but Sevilla are in a relegation battle when Nesri said he wants to help Sevilla out in this relegation battle. And when you look at goal-wise, I mean, he's looked good, and I think he would suit Moyes, Nesri, but he's statistically been awful this season. I don't think he's scored any in the league. A couple of cup goals, and I think a couple of World Cup. He scored that massive, that massive goal against Portugal, the massive header, but. So I don't think it's a big loss.
Yeah, I think our transfer window so far is a bit like Graham on Tinder. No one's swiping right. No one's giving us the time of day, mate. We're gonna have to start going on Plenty of Fish and scraping for loans. You know what I mean? It's look, he's a player that Dan said that Moyes has been interested in, and he's already stated that he don't want to come to West Ham because of the position we're in. When players say that, do you really want them at your football club? They're not going to come in and roll up their sleeves. You don't want them at the football.
Well, no. The thing was, right. I think what he said was it's Sevilla are also in a relegation battle.
Yeah, they're in real trouble.
Yeah,
which is madness.
Yeah, which is what he said is he wants to help them get out.
I'll tell you what, he wants to start fucking trying to help them a bit more, mate, because he's got no goals and no assists.
Yeah,
exactly. As well, if he might as well be in a relegation over there and get a suntan than come over here and be freezing cold and be in a relegation battle. So fair play to him.
Yeah, I think I'd rather be in a relegation battle in Spain than England. But yeah, look, I think there's obviously something Moyes sees in En-Nesyri. If he's still the manager in the summer, Moyes will likely revisit that.
When we first got linked to En-Nesyri, he'd scored 24 goals that season in 50 games or something like that. The season after that, he scored something like 12. And at the moment, he scored none, no goals. And look, I do understand. There have been success stories under Moyes. There has been success stories, like the likes of what's his name, Arnautovic. That was a success story under Moyes. He was a signing that came in, a bit like Scamacca, I suppose. Came in for big money. People expected him to hit the ground running. He had an awful start under, was it Pellegrini? Must have been. Or Bilic.
Arnautovic.
Yeah.
Bilic, yeah, he was played on the wing.
Yeah, he had an awful start. Moyes came in and converted him into a striker. And to be honest with you, he's our most prolific striker in the last 5 years, 10 years. He was good. He was good, Arnautovic. It's just his attitude stank. So there have been success stories with him. You know, moving Antonio up front a couple of years ago was a success story because, you know, he scored the goals. He scored the goals to keep us up, and then he scored the goals in the next season to keep us in the top six. So there is sort of evidence to say yes, he can make a player out of someone. But I don't know, man. Like if you chase the geezer for 24 goals in 50 games, you say yeah, that's brilliant. Going for a geezer when you're in a relegation battle, when you're struggling to score goals, that hasn't scored a league goal. He has scored goals this year, but a league goal or made an assist all season, I think is fucking madness.
Do you know what? I'm willing to give Moyes a bit of the benefit of the doubt as I criticise him a bit because I haven't watched any Sevilla this season. So context-wise, I don't know. Obviously, the whole team have been poor. That's why they're in a relegation battle. So I don't know if that he's been misfiring or the team just haven't been playing well when he hasn't been getting the service. I mean, he did score a couple of goals in the World Cup for Morocco, who was a very defensive
I watched him in the World Cup. I thought he looked like a lost puppy at times. I didn't think he had a lot about him. I'll be honest with you. When I watched Morocco in the World Cup, I don't think he had a lot about him. He didn't have a lot of... He's got ability, but I don't think he's got the brain. I honestly don't. Sometimes it just seemed like he was like a headless chicken. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you can.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, obviously Moyes has seen something in him. I think he has got some ability. He's great in the air, which I think the way that we've just been spamming crosses into the box, all season, I think he would be ideal for that. because he's got a good jump on him and he's good in the air. So it gives us that option. Whereas, like, I think that's where Skamaka struggled because he likes the ball to his feet. So En-Nesyri seems a bit versatile, but I think he's just got to, like Lingard, just close the chapter on it now, move on.
Yeah,
Right.
I think like we should be looking at players like Diaz in the Championship from Blackburn. You know, I think he'd be an ideal signing, someone that we could pick up, especially if we do get about 10 million for Antonio. I think he'd be a great replacement.
Do you think
I
they'd
know.
let him go in a promotion charge? I suppose that's the only thing, isn't it?
Yeah, I think like I know they're going for promotion, but I think a club like Blackburn, £10 million is a lot of money for a club like that. You know, they don't. I mean, I watched their game the other day. It looked like they had about 15 people in the crowd, so the crowds are not there, so they need money. It's a risk selling one of your best players, but and I think if West Ham did come in for Diaz, I think he'd want to leave. But I think there'd be a few clubs looking at him, especially
Everton, I think, are looking
yeah,
at
because
him.
teams like Everton, Fulham, maybe a Crystal Palace, maybe even a Bournemouth. You know, they're the sort of teams that look at players like that. So, yeah, no, I'd definitely take a punt on him, 100%.
Yeah, they're third in the Championship at the moment, Blackburn. So I think if they sell him, they can kiss any chances of promotion goodbye. So it'll be interesting. I think it might take a little bit more than 10 mil. Especially, I think January is when clubs can start to
I
play.
mean, we could even offer a money plus loaning them a youngster like who's the youngster that played in Europe, the striker. I forgot,
Oh yeah, yeah,
I forgot his name now. The one that scored but didn't
yeah.
score.
Mbame, innit?
Mubama, yeah,
Mbame, yeah. Maybe give him on loan. You know, sweeten the deal.
But
yeah, yeah.
listen, for me, like this is the transfer dealing so far worry me, and I've seen this happen to West Ham a lot over the years. Just players outright rejecting, just saying no, I'm not going there, no chance. And I do understand why. Sometimes I don't think we're a very attractive club because of the way we've run, because of the past problems that we've had here. I think over the last couple of years, I think it's been great, but I think we needed to capitalise on that, with manager and everything. I think we need to, evolve the way we approach things. And at the moment, the way, like this Berriton Diaz, go out and make a statement. Go out and there's a saying, you have to fake it till you make it. If you start acting like a relegation candidate, you're a relegation candidate. If you sort of like go out and fucking sort of give it a bit of swagger, like I know the position we are in the league at the minute, but don't worry, we ain't going to be there. Look where we've been the last 2. You have to fake it until you make it, and
Yeah, you can attract these sort of players because you can say, look, come in, help us get our league form right. You got a European campaign in March.
yeah.
Europe's still there. Europe's not until March, so we've got a couple of months to sort of get our league form right. Obviously, we've got the FA Cup as well to concentrate on because you look at the FA Cup, 9 Premier League teams have been knocked out, and then you look at the next round, City and Arsenal play each other. So you get through against Derby, one of them two, you can think to yourself, hang on a minute. We can maybe go a little bit far in this FA Cup. And we was all riding it off last week when we had Brentford away, thinking we ain't got no chance. But you get through these rounds and it builds confidence. And as you said, them sort of things can attract players. And if I was a player playing abroad and someone like West Ham come in for me, I know we don't like the stadium, but for a player, 60,000 seater stadium sold out week in, week out. They would have seen what West Ham done last season. They would have seen the fan base, playing in the Premier League. I think it is an attractive option.
Yeah, I mean, especially a lot of them grounds in Europe are half empty when you see them week in, week out. So I mean, it's a big deal. I just think before we spend money, I think we're going to have to sell, and I think we're going to have to sell if we want to actually buy players. So I think they're waiting for the Dawson and Antonio deals to go through. Otherwise, it's just going to be loans. But it's a big month for Noble, obviously coming into the job role, starting his first month, and it's a tough one. It's a tough window to come into as your first job as director of football. But he's got his work cut out for him, and I'm hoping that he can get some good deals in. That's going to be big.
I'd sack Noble tomorrow.
Noble out. We got good old Josiah, £10 super chat. Thank you very much, mate. Hope you're doing well. If we lose our next 3 games, then I will think that we may be relegated. If we win our next 3 and go on a run, 12 points, then I think that we'll be safe. But I think that we will be relegated. I fear for us.
Yeah, especially in the next 2 league games are massive because we've got Wolves tomorrow and Everton at home next week. If we manage to somehow get 6 points out of them, then I think we'll pull away. If we get 4 points, not the worst. We don't get no points or even 2 points, 2 draws. I don't think it's going to be good enough. It's going to bring back. It's going to be a lot of pressure on the team and David Moyes again. So, listen, tomorrow night, I'm hoping we're all going to be sitting there, and we're all going to have a little smile on our face, thinking, do you know what? Yeah, we've got a good win away at Wolves because we need it. We need to start pulling away from that bottom 3.
No, absolutely, mate. Before we get on to the next topic, I just want to shout out to Sebastian Haller, who's been a big talking point on this show in the past, but he got a hat-trick for Dortmund tonight. I think it was a friendly and
10 minutes.
You know,
10-minute hat-trick.
Yeah, I mean, what a comeback for him. Everything that he's been through.
Fantastic to see him back on the pitch. Fantastic to see him obviously back in good enough health that he can start playing and resume his career. Everything that I said about him, I still stick by in terms of being in a West Ham shirt. But listen, there's no doubt about it. He's a top quality forward that, we've done top quality things for Frankfurt, top quality things for Ajax, and hopefully top quality things now for Dortmund. Wish him all the best. Great to see him back.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do in a Dortmund shirt. Going from everything, all of that, brilliant.
Yeah, any player that got anyone in life that goes through that and can come back is a hero. So good luck to him. Wish him all the best.
Yeah, great story. So after that, should we get some more comments then? After obviously we've just talked about So everyone, I'm going through comments. There's people talking to each other, going, "How you, mate? You all right, mate?" I'm like, "All right, I can't put that up." If we lose here we go. If we lose a next game, I won't watch West Ham games again under Moyes. So Geomat Tech is going to protest by not watching. I remember when we had old Mike.
He will watch. He will. Of course he will. Geomat Tech will watch.
You tell yourself that, innit? And then the next game comes up.
I've been saying that for 25 years, nearly 30 years.
I'll tell you something, mate. I threw my season ticket on the fucking pitch 25 years ago, and then 5 minutes later I asked for it back.
Chris says, your room is looking class, Ryan. Some great stuff in there. Is that your box room? Are you in the old CBBC broom cupboard?
Yeah, no. Well, yes, it's bigger than a broom cupboard, yeah, but it's a little box room in my house. But yeah, it's doing the job. I've got my new photo up there, my Mark Noble loyalty one that my wife bought me for Christmas. Lovely present from the wife. So yeah, no, it's getting there. I've got some other bits, so I will swap it around. I've got some more stuff that I want to put up and take some stuff down. But yeah, it's looking all right. It's doing the job.
Kev says, what has happened to Cornet? Plays 5 minutes, then disappears. Apparently, he's injured more often than not. He's got a rare injury, apparently. That's,
Yeah, we said this last week, didn't he? The doctor's only seen this twice in 25 years. And I said, Nick, I bet the other person played for West Ham as well 25 years ago.
Yeah, more than likely, mate, yeah.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because when we signed him, I was excited about him because I thought, and when I see him, especially that game against Chelsea when he scored, I know it was given VAR ruled it out, but his passion and celebration, and I thought, if he can hit the ground running, we've got a great player on our hands here. But yeah, it's just not worked out for him. The injuries have unfortunately killed his season.
Yeah. We've got a £5 super chat here from Jack Woods. What are your thoughts on Paqueta? Don't think he is settling in well. I think he's starting to improve slowly. He's starting to settle. It's a lot slower, I think, than what we would like. But the past couple of games, I think he's looked better. Yeah,
I think the past three, especially since the World Cup, since he's come back, I think he has shown signs of the player that we wanted to sign. I thought he has started off a bit slow. He's got to get used to the Premier League. But I think especially the last two games, he's getting his confidence, and he obviously got his goal at Leeds. So I'm hoping that that gives him confidence for the rest of the season. And listen, he can do all the tricks and flicks he wants as long as they come off and we start winning games, because you don't want to be doing that in a relegation battle.
No, someone said, it's. I saw there was a comment earlier saying that players like Paqueta are a luxury you can't afford when you're down in the dumps. But you got to make it work.
Listen, I think I don't think he works hard. He's one of them players that when it is going bad, I think that even not playing as a number 10, he'll get back and he'll track back and he'll put the work in. If it gets to a dogfight, I'll still put him in there. But I just think there's other players that I don't get the lack of. I don't know whether he's got something in his contract, which I think would be madness. But I don't get why we're just persisting with him. He's not in good form. Let him sit out. Sometimes players like that just need to, to sort of regroup and not worry about the next game and let someone else like Fornals come in and
Don't you think he's been better the last two games though?
Yeah, I think he has.
Leeds away.
Yeah, I think he has. I think he was brilliant at Leeds away. I don't think he was great at Brentford. He was all right, but I just think there's sometimes that a rotation system could work well. It's a lot of pressure for players like Scamacca and Paqueta to come to the Premier League, and then it's like a what do you call it? It's like a what's the word I'm looking for? Like a baptism of fire. Just go out there, just go and do it, Like it's hard work. It's hard work to settle sometimes.
But that's why people. It seems to be less and less in football these days. But you used to sort of give new players from different leagues a chance, time to settle into the team and the league and stuff like that. But now everyone wants instant results. Lewis's comment here, maybe chuckle, is West Ham could have Haaland, and I don't think he'd score many goals in this system. I don't disagree with that. But
yeah, I think we're turning Haaland into one of the worst players in the world. We always seem to do that. Sign the good players and make them look bad. But yeah, no, what I'd give for Haaland at the moment, I'll take his dad at the moment if he fancies a couple of games.
Yeah, why not?
Absolutely. Let's move the subject on a little bit. We are rumoured to be still looking at some players. Danjuma is another player we're in for. Now, I'm going to say this right off the bat. I don't know a lot about him, to be honest with you. So I ain't got a lot of opinion about him. But there are some players that I would definitely, like a couple of rumours that I would definitely go. But what do you think about the Danjuma rumours?
Well, this was one Moyes turned down in August. We were linked with, and rumour reports that Moyes had concerns over his attitude. I think the deal could have been close to being done, and I think that's why we ended up getting Cornet. I think it was either Danjuma or Cornet, and I think he turned down a chance to sign Danjuma, and then we ended up getting Cornet, if I remember rightly. And I think he looks a good player. He looks a very skillful player, looks good on the ball. He hasn't been lighting things up particularly this season. He's got 2 goals in 10 appearances. He's a winger, but he's got no assists. He's got no assists. Whereas last season he had 10 goals in 23 appearances with 3 assists when we were looking at him. So, yeah, I don't know why he sort of dropped down a bit. But, he's a highly rated player. I remember when we were linked with him, there was a lot of other clubs, fans of other sort of top teams that were like wanting him at their club. So it just seems to be, for whatever reason, Moyes had doubts over his attitude. But we're linked with him again on loan, which again, if you have, last season it was permanent. I think if you have got concerns over a player's attitude, then a loan is the best situation to get him in, so...
I think what we need is whoever we bring in on loan, we need a Jesse Lingard impact. We need someone that can come in and just hit the ground running straight away, affect the team in a positive way. You see when Lingard come in that time, everyone had doubts over his fitness. He made his debut, 2 goals, and then from that moment he didn't look back, and he changed the dynamic in the dressing room as well. So we need players that are going to come in and just going to take to the Premier League. Look, every transfer is a gamble. We can go out and spend £70 million on a striker in January. Don't mean he's going to score 10 plus goals. But you can get this one loan signing in who can just come in and just change change the mood around the dressing room. So
So El Chico has got a bit of an insight actually that could be useful. Danjuma would be perfect. Smash the championship. I think he played for Bournemouth, didn't he?
Yeah.
Scored over 10 goals last season in the Champions League. Suits our system. Quick, fast, direct, and can finish. Operates as a left winger / centre forward. Would be good for a loan. You've hyped me up even more there, mate. You've hyped me.
can he play left back as well? I'll
Yeah.
definitely take him.
Yeah, maybe centre back with our centre back crisis. So yeah, seems to.
No, yeah, look, he done well in the championship, so it's. I'd like to see him come in. Hopefully we can get a deal done, and that'll be a great addition to our squad. And he's someone that can challenge for the starting 11 as well. And when players like him come in, Bowen, Benrahma, Fornals, they're gonna have to up their game a little bit. Up their game in training. When they get in the starting 11, they've got to give everything to stay in that starting 11. So it'd be a good signing, I think.
I mean, based off El Chico's description there, Nick, because you said you didn't know too much. How does that sound to you?
It sounds fucking good. It's good. I don't really mind. Yeah. It's one of them ones, isn't it? But there is a couple of rumours that.
It sounds fucking lovely, mate.
Oh no, it does, doesn't it? If you're telling me a geezer like, he's going to bang goals and all that, what am I going to say? Nah, you're all right. But no, there are rumours. Like as I said, I don't know too much about Danjuma. I don't even remember him playing for Bournemouth.
Mm-hmm.
But
do you remember us being linked with him in the summer, though?
I do remember him being linked in the summer. I remember looking a little bit into him, but it's one of them ones. We done this on the podcast the other day. Me and Dom, we got linked with 132 players during the transfer window in the summer. Like Dom writes them down. He's like, he's like fucking Rain Man. He writes every single one down that we get linked with. 132 players we got linked with in the summer. So he's one of them ones. Like, if nothing progresses, you don't really look into it. So he's not a player that I know a lot about. There's a couple of rumours right now that I would be pursuing. Danny Ings. If that one's on the cards, no question for me. I've been a big fan of Danny Ings, and I know Danny Ings isn't the Danny Ings of a couple of years ago, but he's still a proven Premier League goal scorer, and he still, can score goals. I would be all over him like a rash. If that was on the cards, I would be all over that. And who's the other one I would be on? No, Danny Ings is it, I think. No, there was another one, but I can't remember it. But yeah, Danny Ings, I'd be all over.
Yeah, no, Danny Ings would be a great signing.
He's a bit of a sick note though as well.
Yeah, he's another one. But when he is fit, he's a good player, and we see it the other week when he scored for Villa. He's a goal scorer. He's a poacher. He done well at Southampton. I think he was at Burnley as well previously. He's done well. So
even Liverpool, he done well.
Yeah. I forgot he played for Liverpool. That was a mad one. That was when Roy Hodgson was just signing all mental players at the time, wasn't it? I think. But
yeah, he was. He signed that other geezer, didn't he? From who was the other one he signed? Ricky
Lambert.
Yeah.
No, yeah, it's just he would be an ideal sign. But I think it's quiet now. But I think coming up to midway through January, I would give it another week, and then it's going to start really heating up a bit, and hopefully we can get some players in as soon as possible.
You know what? Funnily, actually, we'll let Martin Peters read his comment, and then I was going to say what I was going to say. So £10 super chat from Martin Peters. I don't know if it's the Martin Peters.
Well, it definitely ain't. If
yeah,
it is,
definitely ain't. He's dead. Yeah. Rest in peace, Martin Peters from the grave. I think if we need to be successful in the Premier League, couple of players we need. I'm just adding some words in that I'm interpreting it. Need to do one. We need to get more defence because our defence is poor, and we need a new goalkeeper and striker, and we need Pochettino in. That's a lot there, Martin. That's a lot there, mate.
I think maybe the goalkeeper situation. Obviously, we've got Areola, who's for me should be number one. Saying that though, that Fabianski save at Leeds away in the last minute was world class.
It's one of them ones, isn't it?
And that's what Fabianski's got in his locker. He can pull moments like that out. And when you see things like that, you think, oh, yeah, I'd keep him in. But for me, Ariola's got to be number one now. You've got to give him a run in the team.
The only thing that winds me up about Fabianski is that look, he's let a couple of poor goals in this year. That's without a shadow of a doubt. The one at Chelsea was poor. The near post one the other week was poor. But look, he's been a great servant to us, and I do understand Moyes' reluctance to sort of in the last year of his contract. I think he's in the last year of his contract to sort of like oust him out of the team and sort of give him that sort of disservice because he can still pull out saves like he did the other day. I think that was, as you say, right, that was a world-class save. The only thing that drives me mad about him, and it's always drove me mad about him, even when I thought he was, one of the best goalkeepers in the league, is his distribution. He's so slow. He's so slow to be he's so indecisive about getting the ball out quickly. But I do understand Moyes' reluctance to sort of oust him from the starting 11. But listen, we're getting to a point in the season now, mate, where, as I said, you can't be, nostalgic. You can't be doing things out of I don't want to get him out of the side. We're getting into a serious situation in terms of like the way, some teams are pulling away. It's a point in the season where you look at, teams like Fulham, who you'd have banked to be down there. They're 3 points off the Champions League. They're beating people like Chelsea and that. Wolves are picking up points and wins and things like that. And Southampton are starting to play a little bit better. They beat Man City last night in the Carabao Cup or the night before. That's going to give them a load of confidence. We're getting into points where there's no room for sentiment. If they're not doing a job for you, get out and get someone in that can.
Yeah, but this is the thing. We're also on the back of two great results, like Leeds away and Brentford away in the Cup. You got to take the positives out of that going forward. Wolves obviously have lost their last two games. They lost to Forest in the Cup the other night, and they lost in the league last week. So, Southampton the other night. It was it was still a good City team, but it's one of them games. And City didn't really give a shit, to be fair. They could have, if they wanted to, they could have started with their strong team and finished Southampton off. But fair play to Southampton, they deserved the win. They took their chances. But yeah, you're right. When it comes to, like, Fabianski's been a great servant for West Ham. I think he's been an unbelievable signing. One of the best goalkeepers I've seen at West Ham in my time. Some of the saves I've seen him pull off, he's been brilliant. But he's starting to remind me a bit of Jääskeläinen a little bit. When he's not... he's just letting shots go past him or front post, and I don't want Fabianski to go out like that. But I think Areola should be our number one, and I'm hoping that he does get a chance.
My sort of concern as well is that we seem to be still looking at left wingers, right? We in the summer we had Benrahma, and obviously he plays 4 hours on the left, right? And then he went and got Cornet after being linked with Danjuma. Now we're linked with Danjuma again, and we've got only one right winger. I know I said Antonio is a natural right winger, but he rarely ever plays him there. So it's Bowen, and Bowen's been really poor this season, but there's been no one there who's plays on the right to come in and take over and push him. So why aren't we?
We're getting back to like when we was very imbalanced.
Yeah,
like the balance has been good in the last couple of years, but getting to a point where we're really imbalanced. Like the fullbacks, for me, like they're a big issue. They're a big issue. The fullbacks, but I always feel like this with West Ham. Like if you look at the modern game, excuse me, I've got a bit of a snotty nose. But if you look at the modern game, and you look at the way teams play and the way where most attacks come from now for the top teams. It's fullbacks. Fullbacks is a really, really important position. It's important. It's so important in the modern game and the way you want to play. Even with like Moyes' tactics, he wants to get the fullbacks forward and he wants to cross the ball. It's important. It's important. And that is just one position where we just seem to abandon. And I think we just let the position rot away. There's no real scout in there. We got. Cresswell come in 7-8 years ago now, 9 years ago maybe, and he's still our first choice left back. And with all due respect to Aaron Cresswell, this is another one, a bit like Fabianski. he ain't got the legs anymore. He ain't got. He's not Antonio. He's not Cresswell of 5-6 years ago. He's just not. And you know, they're positions that we should be looking at. Like Emerson, with all due respect, I don't think Emerson's a left back. I think he's a left wing back, and which, you know, I think would suit Moyes the way he wants to play, because he likes that five at the back. But you know, Soufal, like in the last year or year and a half, not good enough. You know, and you know, there's such important roles in the football in modern football, and it's just we struggle to. I don't know whether we struggle to scout them or whatever, you know. But you look at, you know, the teams that have done well traditionally, like Brighton, they had good fullbacks. You know, Liverpool, good fullbacks. Man City, good fullbacks. I just think, I don't know. I think it's,
The thing is with fullbacks these days, they're not like the old days. You know, you used to get your left and right back that would never cross the halfway line. Now they're up and down. They're more like wingers. They're athletes, the fullbacks, and yeah, you're right. It is a position that we definitely need to. I know we've been linked with Wan-Bissaka. I don't know if that's going to come off, but the left back is definitely a position we need to fill. And for me, I wouldn't mind seeing Ben Johnson having a go back there because I think he's never let us down when he's gone left back, and I think that if something ain't working, just give him a try there because, as I said, he hasn't let us down there. I know he's not I wouldn't say not the quickest because he is one of our quickest players, but I think defensively sometimes when his mind's on it, Johnson's a good fullback for us, you know. But I don't know.
he's out of form.
I completely agree with that because I mean, in the Europa League, when Cresswell, whenever he was, you know, suspended and Johnson came in, he looked really good there, Johnson. And it was when Cresswell came back in, it all went pear shaped. But I would go with that until the end of the season, right? Have Johnson as an option left back and persist right back as obviously Soufal and Johnson, so Johnson can be options for both. And in the summer, really invest in a left and a right back.
Yeah.
Like, really.
You know what? I was sort of going off, not going off Soufal a bit, but his performance against Leeds showed me the old Soufal. You know, he was getting stuck in. You know, he was getting up and down the wing. You know, he's putting tackles in. And that's what I want to see from Soufal for the rest of the season. We want that fight that he had when he first come to the team. You know, the Soufal that we fell in love with. And hopefully some of that can, fingers crossed, rub off on Souček as well because he's been bang out of form for a long time. But, you know...
I just think he's a man out of a system that caters to him, Souček. And
that's why we are where we are because we've got too many players out of form. You know, top teams, you can have 2 players out of form, but you've got the rest to drag you through and get your results. We've had, I mean, Bowen, like tomorrow, he's got a good record against Wolves. He scored 4 in his last 5 against Wolves, so he likes playing against them. So hopefully, you know, he gets himself a goal tomorrow.
Most of those goals have come at the London Stadium, haven't they?
I think that's well, most of our fucking goals all season. We ain't scored a lot. You know, we've got, I think 15, 16 goals all season. 6 have come away from home. It's 10 have come at home. So, but I think that's another good point that you just made there. It's not just about, you know, when it gets to the transfer window in January, you know, you think it's just the point of, you know, go and get more people. Sometimes it's not always the answer. It's getting the people that you could rely on before, like Bowen. There's no reason, like, you know, you could look at Antonio's age and think, yeah, he's 33 now, you know. You could look at Cresswell's age. People like Bowen should be doing a lot better. But Bowen is a good enough player to be stepping up and you know, he needs to step up and become the main man because he's going to be the main man.
But you know, when you go back to those stats about how we're the worst at pressing and things like that, Bowen to me is probably our best presser. You know, when it comes to pressing, and I still see him do it lately. But if we're not pressing as a team, I think it's not that effective. You know, when you've got a player press on his own and say he causes a player to be dispossessed or to make a mistake and there's no one else there to pick up on that. Because I think I saw that we're like one of the lowest when it comes to counter pressing as well. So as much as, and I've been really critical of Bowen, I just think the way we're playing this season probably hasn't done him any favours. at all.
I don't think it's done anyone any favours in the attacking. As I said, it's been concentrating too much on don't concede, and I think we've got good enough players to score goals. And yeah, let's move on a little bit. Let's have a little preview of against Wolves before we shoot off.
Right, before we do that, let's get this Red 5 there, 449 super chat. Cheers, Red. I just want someone who can beat defenders with pace. We're so easy to defend against. Lack of movement and no threat from the ball in behind. 100%, mate. I think you're spot on.
And I think that's why when we brought Fornells back into the team against Leeds, you see an improvement because Fornells will run all day long. And one thing with Fornells is he don't mind getting his shorts dirty by going on the floor and putting in a tackle. You know, and that's what we've been lacking a lot this season is players putting in the challenges because I don't know if they're scared to get dirty or to get booked or whatever, but just, you know, and that's what Fornells gives you. And I think when he come in against Leeds, you see that improvement.
Yeah. 100%. If he can just get his finishing sorted, he'd be deadly, mate. I tell you. He can work on.
Well, this next comment gets us nice into the preview. We must not lose to either Wolves or Everton. I think we have to go a bit further than that. I think we've got to win.
Yeah, I mean, look, even if we drew both of them games, it's not good enough because I'd rather lose one, win one because it's about points. You get 3 points better than 2. So, obviously, I'd love 6. 4 would be my minimum out of them 2 games, if I'm being honest. But yeah, you're right. We can't lose. We can't lose. If we lose both them games, we're fucked.
Yeah.
We are because I think it would be disheartening for everyone, and it would be fucking tragic if we lost them.
I mean, if we lost both them games, right, would they pull the trigger? Do you think?
They'd have to, surely.
Yeah.
If we lose one.
Yeah.
No.
The thing is, if we lose to Wolves tomorrow, I'm pretty sure we're guaranteed to be in the relegation zone because they go above us, right? Wolves would go above us on 17 points. It'd be 2 points ahead of us. We'd drop down. Yeah, so we're in the relegation zone if they beat us. So
I think if we lose both, then yeah, he's gone. I think if we lose tomorrow and beat Everton, or win tomorrow, lose to Everton, I don't think they'll get rid of him.
What if we lose tomorrow and draw to Everton?
Then yeah, they've got to look at it because, as I said, you know, a point out of them 2 games is not good enough. You know, I say a minimum is 4 points. If we drew tomorrow and beat Everton, then I'd say, you know, we're picking up points. You know, we're still unbeaten. But yeah, no, we can't lose both of them because
I can't pull this comment. This can't be right. Gonzo claims Poch agent has approached West Ham twice. What? I mean, if that's true, I'd snap their hand off. I mean, but that sounds far fetched to me. I don't know what you guys think, but
Spreading fake news. I don't know who does that.
pull the trigger. But no, pull. If that is true, pull the trigger now.
Listen, you don't know what goes on behind the scenes. You don't know if that is true, and he could be in line if they're looking to get rid of Moyes. But if that was true, then they would have sacked him, I think.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they'd be mad not to. That would just give everyone a lift, I think, if that happened. So madness. But yeah, I think it's a tough ground to go to for West Ham. I think we've only won once there since they've come up, I think.
And that was because there was no fans there.
Yeah. Apart from that, like the 3 times I've been there since they've come up, we've lost.
Well, you're not going tomorrow, Dan. So this might be the turning point.
This is it. I mean, I don't think I've even seen the score a goal there, to be honest. Yeah. So this is the time to win a game. It will be disappointing. If we got a draw tomorrow, I don't know if I could take the positive. Positive is we're still not in the relegation zone, depending on the other results. So we just need to get some bloody wins on the table.
I don't know. I think in terms of the sacking of Moyes, I think it goes in what order? Because I think if we beat Wolves and lose to Everton, I think he'll stay. But I think if we lose tomorrow, I think they may pull the trigger. Because
they've lost their last 4 home games in the Premier League as well. So they're on a bad run of form at home as well. So it could be a good time to go there because we're on the back of 2 decent results. So it could be a good time to play.
I'm telling you now, mate. We'll go there tomorrow at 3 p.m. On a Saturday, and it will be hostile there. They're loud Wolves fans. They get behind their side, and they're gonna. I think a lot of teams as well will smell blood from West Ham this year, and their fans are going to be well up for this one. So our players have got to be focused. I've got no doubt that we've got the players to do it, and I've got no doubt that we can beat them. But I think it's mentality tomorrow. I think you've got to be switched on.
They're since the new manager's come in, I think they're a team on the up. I mean, the only teams they've lost to since he's come in, I think, is Arsenal and Man United. They've beat Leeds, and Brighton, which are a good. Then that was in November. That was before the manager come in. But yeah, they lost to Man United, beat Everton, beat Gillingham, drew to Forest, drew to Liverpool away, and drew to Aston Villa away. So. It's the new. They've got this sort of new manager situation who's coming to try and lift the club, whereas we're still in struggle with the old manager. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a tough game. I really do.
Listen, Molyneux, we've been there a few times ourselves, and the atmosphere is, as Nicky said, unreal. Their fans get behind them from start to finish, whether they're winning or losing.
We can't get any bloody atmosphere in our end because they shut you out the whole bloody stand.
Yeah, and that's why tomorrow the players have just got to try to silence this crowd as much as they can. Early goal, a few tackles in. Show that we're there. Show that we're there to win that game and give them a game of football. And we're coming to Wolverhampton to take them 3 points. And say, look, you're in the relegation zone, and we want to move up. Let's go there. Let's show them we're the better team. It's going to be difficult, but if our players are on it, if Declan Rice can get them ticking on the pitch, then I could see us getting a result tomorrow. I really can.
Okay, we've got one more super chat before we sign off. Red 5 says we've got to be more louder at home. Great away support. Make it hostile. We turn too quickly.
It's always been like that, though.
Yeah, it's always been a bit like that. But thank you very much for joining us on this edition of West Ham Fan TV's Friday Night Pint. Thank you to you guys for getting involved. There will be a new start time starting next week. I don't know whether you've noticed over the last few days, but there has been sort of improvement of quality of our... We're looking to improve the quality of our content, and we're looking to improve the consistency and everything else. So we will be going with a new start time. It was nearly that start time today, to be quite honest with you, but it will be from 8 o'clock next week and going forward. So anyone else got anything to say before we go?
Go check out the preview.
Yeah,
go watch that now if you haven't already. All edited up and that. And then, watch alongs tomorrow, fan cams, all the fun stuff. Hopefully we've got some good stuff to talk about. Hopefully it's positive.
A little rumour going around that on the socials coming back as well. So
exclusive.
Yeah.
Is that ex-employee? He's tweeted out on his Patreon.
Yeah, I think X put it up. But we are looking, as Nicky said, we know we've been a bit slacking over the last few months, but no, we had a good meeting the other day, positive. Everyone's on the same level. We're going to get back to it, smash it, new shows, new ideas, and loads of stuff to come.
Bigger and better than ever.
And we've even got bubbles in the background. Look, that's a start.
Can't beat that.
There we go.
Nicky's laying down on the grass.
Like an album cover. But thank you very much for joining us. One thing left for us to say.
Come on, you
Come on, you